Poor boundaries. You're looking at her. It was so... Hearing about this word for many years. Man, when I first even started, I was forced to see a therapist. It was like... There was no... She believed everything I said because it was fucking true. She backed me up in court and everything. She was awesome. Her name was Jane Raymond. She was in Annapolis. I was forced to go to her by the court system. Because, I needed therapy to bear up under the attacks. It's like, well, why don't you just stop him attacking me? And guess what? I won't need therapy. Actually, I did need therapy. But I didn't need it for what they insisted I needed it for. I just needed it to understand that I had been raised without boundaries, personal boundaries. I was raised to fulfill emotional deficits in my adopted mother without realizing it. She didn't know she was doing that to me, and I didn't know she was doing it to me, and all I knew was kids should make their parents, kids should respect and admire their parents and believe their parents and do it. And I did. So when she treated me like I was stupid and kept telling me I was stupid, I believed her. I took it to heart. I knew that scholastically, like in school, I got really good grades up until like a certain point because then I fell all apart and whatever. But I mean, I was good at regurgitating information. I was good at that. I could read at a high level. I was like really good at that, which is exactly what the establishment wants. They want us to be smart enough to run the machinery, but not smart enough to know we are the machinery. Anyway, or whatever that is. But I was good at thought, but I was not good at reading people because I was so... I hate to use the word innocent, because Lord knows I've lied, I've committed crimes, like, sped down the road, just little, I'm imperfect as all everybody else is. But I didn't try to be. Like, it wasn't like, I didn't have plans to create this narrative around myself. No, I just told little white lies like any kid did or whatever, or when I was a teenager, just lied about where I was to my parents because I wasn't supposed to be over there or whatever. This kind of thing. Like, my parents would tell you something different. Oh, she was like that. And I'm like, what? Anyway, yeah, the whole, to be rescued from my first husband, from that nonsense and noise. And to be built up like you're a woman, and now you're going to do this, and we're going to do this together, we're going to have this kind of life, and this is going to fuck your parents. I'm like, yeah, fuck them people. In a sense, I love them, but fuck the way they treated me and the way they viewed me. That was bullshit, but I still love the shit out of these people. So he made me think he was my pal, my buddy. We're going to have a great life and all that, and who cares what your parents think, man? You're an adult now. Said everything I needed to hear. Yep. So it happens. But then the boundaries thing. So then I allowed this person to use me like he owned me, Use your imagination. So, and I thought, because my parents told me, it's your husband, he owns your body and you own his, and that's the way it is, and until the end of time, and you got to do whatever. That's the one you chose, and you got to lay with him until you die, and we don't care what I was like, whatever. And I was just like, wow. And then the whole churchy teaching where this life doesn't even matter. It's just the afterlife. Like, you just got to endure until the end. It's just like, whatever happened to the joy, Dan? Whatever happened to the joy about, Jesus and what he'd done for us, and what happened to that? It's like, no, just endure to the end. You're gonna be attacked. You're gonna be a spiritual warfare 24/7. And I'm just like, what? It wasn't like this before I started focusing on all this Jesus stuff. Well, that's because you weren't saved, Karen. The devil had you already. Now that you're one of his, he'll be constantly attacking you, the devil and everybody, and all his cohorts and whatever. And it's like, that's what happened. It happened just like they said it would. I'm just like, why? So, boundaries. I had none. I didn't think I should have it. I mean, even the church, I felt like the church even taught women, you have no boundary. Women have no right to say what can happen and what can't. I don't know. And your people are like, Karen, no, it's not true. You misinterpret. No, I don't know. I cannot tell you how I wound up in this position, but I have terrible boundaries. I've been working on it for a long time. And there's times when I exercise good boundaries, but it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to not let people trot all over me. Isn't that weird? Because I always second guess, like, well, maybe I didn't understand what they said, or maybe I just don't get it. Maybe they're just hurting. Maybe they're just in excuse after excuse after excuse why this person needs to use me up. And that's okay. Because Jesus. Because I'm doing it for him. Actually, no, I wasn't. I was doing it for me because I was afraid of how I felt about myself if I said no. The deep-seated hatred and the distrust of myself, like, well, if a man asks you for your cloak, you're supposed to give it to him. And he asks for your shoes or whatever those verses are. I was like, give anybody anything they ask for. And I was super poor one time. Super poor. With my first husband, who was in the Army, who they didn't pay enough to support a family or a wife or anything, in an area where I could not get work at the time. It was the late 80s. It was at 1988, and there was a recession or something going on in Texas. I couldn't get a job at McDonald's, and I was 21 years old. We were fucking broke. I mean, broke! And this person came down in the apartments and said to me, knock, knock, knock. I have 2 pieces of bread. Do you have a piece of lunch meat I could stick between these 2 pieces of bread and I could make a sandwich? I did, and I said no, and I thought from that point on, I'm going to hell. Jesus came to my door and asked me for a damn piece of sliced ham, and I said no. He came back and I told him no. I've lived with that incident for 30 years. That was a boundary. I needed that I needed that for me. I was so skinny when we left that town. My parents tried to warn me. He doesn't make enough money. You don't understand. The bills, this and that, this and that. I'm like, oh, God. I just had to get the fuck away from them. And I jumped right into the frying pan. Boundaries. How do we stop people from running all? How do we stop feeling gross and wrong and shame for telling people not to fuck us up? Why? Does anybody have any answers? I don't know what this is in me. I really hate it. My therapist, Dave, he's my ex-therapist, Dave, he hates it too. He's like, God, just tell him no. I know, Dave, right? I don't know. Boundaries. I slip on them all. I'm like, Because things have been so bizarre and wrong, that's why things can't be perfectly right in my communication to my children. It just can't be. It can't be perfectly right because things were so wrong. Like, we just got to muddle through. That's it. Muddle through. Have a great day, YouTube.